So today I want to combine several different types of speeches. It's my experiment, and I believe that my today's talk will be informative and motivating and entertaining a little bit at the same time. So the topic of today's speech, next slide, is reading for pleasure. Unfortunately, very few people can read for pleasure, maybe because in our language schools we usually read boring textbooks, and during our working hours we usually read not very interesting articles about our job and so on. But among English teachers, reading for pleasure is known as a very powerful way to improve English speaking, to boost up the process of English learning. And there are several reasons for it. First of all, first reason is that when we read interesting things, we are very motivated, we enjoy the process, and it increases our motivation. And secondly, we not only improving our knowledge, we applying it to our life. So reading is not only learning process for languages, it's a process of it's everyday process, I can name it like that. So there are several rules how to read for pleasure. Next slide. And the first rule, next click, is to find something interesting, to find interesting topic for you, to find interesting authors, maybe to read something that you've read already in Russian. Maybe we can try to read it in original language. And the second rule is to find rather simple books. For example, as far as I understand, here in our English-speaking club, we've got mostly intermediate level of English knowledge, and that's why we can read, for example, books for teenagers. Harry Potter is a very good example here. As for me, I usually read motivational books, and I've got several ideas why I do that. But back to the rules for pleasure reading. The third rule is not to be afraid to quit reading, not to be afraid to stop reading. Sometimes I can read a book and I can understand during the process that it's not interesting for me, and I just prefer not to waste my time. I just quit reading and I go on to the next book, and it's okay. I believe it's a good way to manage my time. Next slide. So back to the motivational books. There are several authors, for example, Anthony Robbins, Joe Vitale, Robin Sharma, etc. I've read lots of Joe Vitale's books, and now I'm reading Anthony Robbins' Reawaken Your Giant Within. Why do I read these books? First of all, they are very simple. They include colloquial spoken English phrases and sentences. They are very simple to understand. And secondly, these books are very motivational, and I enjoy the process, and sometimes, and very often, I apply the knowledge I get from these books to my life. And I can say that this information usually works. Next slide, please. I've read several times this book. It's by Dr. Joe Vitale. It's called Attract Money Now. It's very urgent for our today's financial situation because of the topic. Because the topic of this book is how to deal with money during economic recessions, and there is a as you can see, 7-step formula inside of this book. And again, the language is very simple, it's colloquial. And again, I applied some information from this book, and I can say that it works. Next slide. I'm going to make a post to my community in vk.com. It's called English for Seniors, about this topic. A friend of mine is shooting a video for this post, and I'm going to provide this book because it's free. Electronic version of this book is free. It's provided by the author, and I'm going to provide this book as well. So if you wish, you can subscribe to this community and to download this book. And next slide, that's all. My message of this speech is that if we want to boost up the speed of learning process, we absolutely must include reading to our practice. Maybe if we don't like electronic versions of books, we can borrow books from this great library. It's up to you, but again, it's a good way to improve. That's all, and now I want to ask all of your questions.